Hey guys, Brian again. I'm going to do just a brief video tonight on alternate tunings. I've never been much of a practitioner of them, but I've lately seen the advantages to fooling with it. Now, for those of you who may just be starting in guitar and you may be wondering what an alternate tuning mean, well, just put it simply, like when you probably first got your guitar and you didn't know anything about it, and you started cranking around on the tuners up here and seeing what they did. That's essentially what an alternate tuning is. And I can tell you, when I got my first guitar, I probably didn't know how to tune the thing correctly for the first 2 or 3 months I had it. I just thought, oh, you could just make things up at random. Which, as I got to learn more about the guitar, play with other people who had more experience and whatever, I learned about standard tuning, which almost everybody in the world is going to use, especially in a band context. And you really need to learn how to use it. How it came about, I'm not sure, but once upon a time somebody decided, okay, your 6 strings, you're going to tune it to E, A, D, G, B, and E. Now, when you restring your guitar, are these strings automatically tuned to that pitch? No, not necessarily, or no, not at all. You put them on your guitar, you tune them with the tuners to get E, A, D, G, B, and E, and that's what they call standard tuning. And that's a fundamental. You've got to learn it. You've got to know how to do it to play most things, and especially work in a band context. Now, where alternate tunings come in would be if you're maybe a little bit more advanced, and far be it from me to give commands to anybody. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give very strong recommendations, 2 recommendations. Do not fool with alternate tunings until you've mastered standard tuning. Reason why? If you're just starting and you try starting on some of these alternate tunings and you haven't developed a decent ear for picking stuff up yet, or being able to figure chords out or melody lines, this will play havoc with your ear. You'll be learning stuff the wrong way. You won't be able to play with people in a band context. It's just not a good idea. I'd say if you just start and play guitar, wait at least a year before you start fooling with this stuff. If you're very prodigious and you come about the instrument, you're going to be a natural prodigy, and you're picking it up really fast, and you think you've already mastered it. By all means, try and start doing it then. Now, the second recommendation I will give to people is this: if you're going to try alternate tunings, I would highly, highly recommend stick with the ones where you are tuning your strings down instead of tuning up. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean lowering your pitch on the strings instead of bringing it up. The reason is these guitars are engineered to handle these strings at certain tensions. Now, most guitars have a truss rod in the neck, but even that's no guarantee that if you try and tighten these strings, let's, for example, your low E string, if you try to raise the pitch on that up into some, the most simple thing would be you're going to bust strings at a certain tension. If they're very strong strings, the worst case scenario is you're actually going to bend your guitar neck up. It's going to, you're going to end up playing something that looks like a harp. And that would be my One warning to everybody, please, I'm not encouraging anybody to tune up. If you do so, you do it at your own risk. Don't say Brian caused you to ruin your guitar, okay? So alternate tunings I fool with are just tuning down. I don't tune up because I like my guitars. I do not want to tear my guitars up. So, with that being said, there's literally an infinite number of alternate tunings. Some people say they've come up with new ones. I guarantee you nobody's invented a new alternate tuning since somebody invented the guitar. Somebody has always gone through all these. They've all been discovered already. Just some of them become more popular than others. One I'm going to focus on today, which was probably around before Jimmy Page started using it, but it's called DADGAD. And it's something he came up with and kind of popularized. Probably his most famous, I'm not sure how many songs he used it in, but his most famous use of it was in a song called Kashmir, which if you've not heard that, you're doing yourself a disservice. Check it out. It's one of the greatest songs ever done. And it just, and I've come to figure out it's because of the tuning. I mean, when I heard it, it almost sounds orchestral. I mean, there is some orchestra stuff going on in the background, but even if you're just playing on guitar, it does not sound like, the first time I heard it, I was like, what instrument is that? What's making that? Because it's the altered tuning that's making the guitar sound so different and so out there. And it's just really a brilliant song. I have no idea how he came up with it. I mean, it's one of the freakiest sounds I've ever heard on a guitar. And not terribly difficult to play. If you've got a little bit of rhythmic sense, you can pick it up. But it's the tuning that does the magic on this. So, anyway. So, how do you get to, and why is it called DADGAD? Well, very simple. So, your standard tuning, right? E, A, D, G, B, E. So if you're going to go to DADGAD, you're going to tune the low E down a whole step to D. That's where the D comes in. A stays the same. D stays the same. Let's see. G stays the same. Your B string tunes down a whole step to A. And your high E string tunes down a whole step to D. So you're really only changing your low E string, your B string, and your high E string. You're tuning those down one whole step. And that's all you're changing. Now, this has been particularly useful for me lately. A lot of people will do this too, but you know, you get comfortable in certain playing patterns, you can get in ruts. So I wanted to see what would happen if I took some of the riffs that I play quite regularly that, you know, are on several of these videos. If you watch enough of them, you'll start to recognize certain things I play over and over again. Well, you know, it gets boring after a while. You can either try and come up with new melodies on your own, which by all means try and do that. If you're still blocked, then try one of these tunings and play your old riffs and see what it does. So I've already altered the tuning on this, so that little boogie woogie thing that I'm always doing, what happens with the sound on that with the new tuning? See there, right there, that high E is now a D, so it's kind of brought the pitch down. What happens if you're playing regular chords with the new tuning? Well, like a C chord, take a C shape. So that definitely sounds different from a regular C. D chord, that's different. the chicken picking that I do, you know, that it's usually on these high 3 strings here. Yeah, it's something completely different now. It's almost like a folksy sound, whatever mode that I'm in now because of the altered tuning. So, you know, that's a good way to experiment. DADGAD is pretty simple to get into, and you can just go through, play your regular chord shapes that you know, see what comes out of it. You know, you might get something that sounds so Middle Eastern sounding that people think you're Islamist, you know. But anyway, it does. They do use that tuning a lot in Middle Eastern and even Celtic music. They use it a lot. So you're going to get something that sounds a lot much removed from the norm of pentatonic blues, which you know, that's kind of one of the things that Led Zeppelin was famous for. So that different sound, and this will get you to it. So anyway, that's just a covering over one of a million possible tunings. That one's called DADGAD. So try it out, guys. It's fun. Have a good night. Oh, and my next video, because I just learned it today after all these years and never trying to learn it. I don't know why, but anyway, finally learned how to play Kashmir and more or less got it down, so I'm going to demonstrate that in the next video. Have fun. Bye.